Hello, welcome to my first Casualty review on this channel for a little while. I know I've been gone for a bit. I'm committed with this series, so hopefully, especially with it being the 40th year and hoping that Charlie's going to be coming back, I'm really looking forward to this one. So yeah, let's start with episode 1 of, what's this one called? Something LL something. Anyway, it's been a really good week this week. I really enjoyed this one. I rated it about a 7 out of 10. I think that the overall story was really wonderful, really beautiful to watch. I think there are so many moments that will hit different people in different ways. And I think this is one that will speak to a lot of people. The writer of this week's episode is the lead writer for the 40th anniversary seasons. She's called Erin Kubicki. She's written multiple episodes for the show before, so I have complete trust and faith in her. The director, who is Judith Dine, she has also directed for Casualty before. She first directed many years ago, but she also directed the award-winning series in 2017. So we're off to a good start, let's put it that way. Let's hope we're keeping on this high trajectory with it. I think starting the episode with Stevie's eulogy at Kim's funeral was really beautiful. I think it speaks to what this series is going to be about, how Stevie is going to be dealing with everything that happened in that suit. In those episodes through this series, and I think that's really going to be important. Flynn's speech at the beginning was very important to us as an audience, because obviously between these chapters they've been doing these huge time jumps. So between this one's not been so much of a time jump really, probably only gone forward a couple of weeks, but even still it's really important to let us all know what's going on, these mystery illnesses that's been plaguing the hospital. It's like, COVID all over again, as they were saying. I think it's a really interesting choice to do that, of course, because so many of us in this post-COVID world really don't like talking about it anymore. I know it's been like 6 years now, but, does kind of feel a bit odd. It's wonderful to see everyone in their own situations. It's really nice to see how many people Cam has got living with him at the moment. I mean, he had Rita, Jodie and Indy living with him, which was absolutely incredible, really funny. I think that really speaks to who Cam is as a character, and I'm really hoping that we'll get to see more of that through this series. I completely agree with Stevie blaming herself for Kim's death. I think that's very natural, especially given what happened. And obviously when we touch on things later in the episode, I think that her blaming herself will be a huge impact on this season as a whole. So I'm really looking forward to see where that goes. Flynn's commanding officer from the military is going to be absolutely wonderful to see. Obviously I don't know much, well, we as an audience don't know much about Flynn's time in the army. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with that. I'm not so sure whether it was a good idea myself, but I think it'll be a really interesting storyline for them to go down, and hopefully it'll pay off. The scene where Dylan meets Matty's mum was absolutely wonderful. Very Dylan, very socially awkward from his perspective. And then of course we got the whole situation of Matty's mum not wanting Matty to be a doctor, even though Matty is probably one of the best doctors we've had in a while. Matty's mum being concerned about Dylan as a drunk was very interesting to me, because I've not been in a situation where I've been around anyone who suffers with addiction, but it does to me feel very natural. I don't know whether anyone would agree with that, but I think that this episode really will come off as being very realistic, you know. Cam coming back after his injuries was wonderful to see. I'm really hoping that Cam comes to terms with working in the hospital again, because he was really, really struggling through this episode, and I'm hoping that that's not going to hinder him through the season. So yeah, I love Cam. I think if you've watched this channel for a while, you'll know how much I adore Cam as a character. So yeah, please stay Cam. I love you. It was lovely to see the former nurse in the corridor. I think it was especially important to show the dangers of having someone with dementia in a hospital setting, because a lot of people don't know about things like that, and having her in that hospital setting was really important for this episode, especially with what happens with the man punching her later on. But I think for a lot of people who aren't living with Alzheimer's or dementia, it's really important to see that on screen. And not seeing that on screen is probably a little bit harmful for the show. It was wonderful though to see Rash finally taking his Caesar rotations, something that he was supposed to do back when he started the fire. When was that? Like 3 years ago? Might have been last year. It's been a while, hasn't it? Anyway, within the show it's probably been it might have been 12 months, maybe a bit longer. So it is lovely to see him finally pursuing something that he was really interested in. The baby being born was very reminiscent of the end of last season. I do wonder if that will come back. It may well do, it may well not do. If it does, very, very interesting all the same. The oxygen storyline throughout this episode I thought was really nice and really, really powerful to watch. Watching the slow decline of it was very interesting to see. I do have to say, one of my favourite sequences of this episode, though, has got to go to the issues when they dropped the oxygen canister. It's going round, and then the lights start to flicker, and then the lights go out, and then we have the whole thing of them putting the tubing in the dark. One of the best things I've seen in this show in a really long time. I think they handled it really well without it coming off too comedic. It kept that serious tone, it kept the plot moving, it was wonderful, and I'd love to see him do something similar, but not the same. Dylan having this vague idea of what the illness was perfect for his character. Obviously, we know what he's like. He obviously didn't bring it forward straight away, even though he definitely should have done. But, I mean, that's still an into it. Flynn, the commanding officer fixing the lights, was very quick, a little bit lackluster. I would have liked to have seen the lights off a bit longer, personally. But, I mean, it is what it is. Jodie says this during the episode about being glad that she doesn't trying not to think about her dad, which seems important at the time, but then doesn't really come up again. I'm really hoping that they keep touching on that, and maybe we will see Max come back. Maybe. Chris Banfield, who was a huge character in the last season. Now, the storyline with Chris Banfield from the last season was wonderful, and we now have this situation of him only getting 6 months, which to me anyway, it seems like a really short amount of time, but who knows, I don't really understand all the legal processes and stuff like that, but I'm hoping that we're supposed to see it as being a short amount of time, and then Siobhan going, why is it so short, and then all the repercussions of that. One of the most heartbreaking moments in this episode was watching Cam walk through the hospital with the last oxygen canister, and then having to have the conversation of picking one person to save. and it was so difficult to watch. And I know the commanding officer then says, you made a mistake. I disagree. I agree with what Cam and Flynn did, because, I mean, looking at the two situations, it's very tough to say. I'm not in any way medical, but from my interpretation of the situation, I think they made the right choice. There's one moment where Jodie's trying to get answers on the standard questions of the mother, and she's just like, can you just do your job? Can you just do your job? This is a moment for the public. If a doctor's asking you questions, it's probably to treat you and to treat your child if you've just had a baby. Please don't be the person to yell or complain at your doctors, nurses, midwives. If they've done something, they've done it for a reason, probably to keep your child safe. So this is a learning moment for the audience, not for the show. I'm going to now touch on the attack at the end of the episode. So there's the attack on the dementia patient, and Cam obviously has just been in an attack, so it sort of startles him, and then he's straight into working, which I think is wonderful because it shows how much he has improved since season 1, where he was scared to even like talk to some of the patients. And then from there we have this beautiful moment where he goes into the X-ray machine with her and he holds her hand and he says, I'm here, don't worry, I'm going to help you through this, I'm your nurse, remember, my name's Cam, and it calms her down immediately. And I think it shows how much he's come up along in the short time that he's been in the show, which I think is hard given what the military say about him at the end of the episode. I automatically exclude that though. Obviously then we have the teacher telling Cam that he did well, and then the CO saying to Cam that he did well, and he sort of goes, oh right, I have done well. But then behind closed doors, the CO says, he's not done well. If you ask me, Cam has done really well this episode, especially just coming back from a lot of time off, and he needs it. So I'm happy to just let it slide just this once. And now for the final part of the episode, what will probably be the most impactful part of the whole show, the Stevie Matty storyline. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Feels a little bit odd, but I do have to say, if you weren't in the room obviously, but me watching that was the most insane moment of the episode. I'm like, hands on head, oh my god, beautiful the way that it's shot, and then obviously the Dylan conversation being like, I'll look after your son, don't worry, and he's just there like snugging Stevie. That concludes episode 1. Yeah, if you want to follow along for more episodes in the series, please do. I will have them linked if they've already come out, probably. Yeah, it's been good, this one so far. Yeah, I'm going to do a ranking as well, I think, for this series. So if you stay tuned to like the later parts of the series, you'll start seeing my rankings take shape. See you in the next one.